Hello and a warm welcome to a special broadcast this International Women's Day. It's an occasion to celebrate the spirit of womanhood. It talks about how women have broken barriers and have mounted tales of empowerment. But have you ever thought of women who've played a lead role in the promotion and enhancement of a language as ancient and rich as Sanskrit? Women have been seen as the sole custodians of Sanskrit. How is this language, which is also known as the mother of all languages, being embraced by the modern Indian woman? And how can Sanskrit remain relevant in the lives of women in the modern era? Joining me now, a brilliant set of women who are the torchbearers in the enhancement of Sanskrit. Let me introduce you to them one by one. We have Keren Porat Snapir from Israel. She's a musician, a vocalist of Indian classical music. I welcome her on the program. Next to her is Lorenzo from United States. She is the promoter of Indian culture and she promotes yoga. That's what has changed her life. Welcome, Mari, on the program. And next to her is Lucy Guest. She's a co-founder of International Chandra Mauli charitable Trust and Yoga. And let me tell you that she's been in India for the last almost 20 years. She's a Sanskrit scholar. And I welcome you on the program for this phenomenal work which you have done as far as the enhancement of Sanskrit is concerned. And once again, a very happy Women's Day to the three of you. On a very special occasion when we are going to talk about something which is really, really different. And let me begin with you, Lucy, that you've been a Sanskrit scholar and talking about how a language can change the lives of women. What has been your experience?
Well, I came into Sanskrit through divine inspiration in the UK, and I came to India to study, and I started studying Sanskrit by learning to read Devanagari Lipi with Roman transliteration underneath, listening to the shlokas, and it had such a profound effect on me, giving me such deep peace and light and knowledge that it inspired me to start studying Sanskrit and learning the deeper meaning of the words and the language and the text. And basically everybody in the world, whether it's a man or a woman, wants peace and happiness. And so everybody deserves that.
You never got attracted to any other language like English or maybe some other foreign language, but it was Sanskrit which attracted you.
Yeah, completely.
And that's what brought you to India.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Mari, about your experiences and how you got attracted to Sanskrit and how it has changed your life, would you tell us?
So my introduction to Sanskrit came when I attended yoga teacher training about 12 or 14 years ago, and learning Sanskrit through the asanas and some practice of the 8 limbs of yoga, learning some of the Gita through that traditional Hatha yoga teacher training. And then more recently, I came to India for the first time 3 years ago, and I also met a wonderful friend who is Indian from my home state, and I am gravitating towards the chanting, the kirtan, and just the meditative part of yoga.
Okay.
And so it is those words that are bringing me peace and adding to my practice.
Okay.
And that I would love to share.
Okay. So, Keren, you're from Israel, and coming from Israel all the way to India and practicing something which is so different from your culture. As a woman, what has been your experience?
I was actually a pop singer in Israel, and I was coming to India.
Oh my God.
It was my dream to travel in India. Nothing to do with music. And what attracted me was the Ganga Aarti ceremony in Rishikesh for Mount Nikatan Ashram. It was such a marvelous experience. I was overwhelmed by it, by listening the Rishi Kumar chanting the shlokas, the mantras, and the beautiful music, the kirtan and the bhajans. And it was like I felt it was a turning point in my life. And then it was just the beginning of this path.
So your tryst with Sanskrit was through bhajans, through kirtans, through shlokas.
Yes.
And that's what you got attracted to.
Yes.
Okay, so great. All the three of you have had a phenomenal journey, and it's not a small feat leaving your country and coming to India, embracing a totally different culture. Let me inform the viewers that Lucy Guest is also known as Divya Prabha. So, Divya Prabhaji, if I could ask you that, there was a time when in the Upanishads and in the olden religious texts, women were not supposed to chant shlokas. especially in the Gurukul system, which was there, that no, it's a male bastion of chanting shlokas. From that time to this day today, how has the life of a woman changed?
Well,
When you take Sanskrit as the centerpiece.
Well, I mean, if you look across the universities in the country, you have different traditions across the country. You find a lot of women increasingly are studying the Vedas, and whether they're chanting it or not, there's a lot more access now to studying it, and you find a lot of women in the south chanting. And we've got to remember that there are a lot of Rishikas that actually gave these mantras in the Vedas. So, you know, I can't say conclusively what's going on, but you do see a great shift, and you see so many girls going into university to study Sanskrit through their art subjects. So it's very inspiring to see what's going on, and it's a beautiful sound, whether it's a boy singing or a girl singing. But the energy is really divine, and especially when you look at things like Durga Saptashati, which describe.
You're talking about the Durga Saptashati's part.
Yeah, which
Okay.
has such beautiful descriptions of the qualities of the woman, Buddhi Rupena, Shakti Rupena, all these qualities of Durga in the Saptashati. So very, very powerful things, and if a girl's singing, it's even more beautiful.
Now, since you've spoken about the women's empowerment and the tales of women's power through the Durga Saptashati part, I'm sure viewers would like to listen to a Sanskrit shloka from you, which appeals to you as a woman, and how you feel about this whole female energy, you know, the way it's spreading its radiance in the world. What is that one shloka which really comes to your mind?
Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha.
Lovely, lovely. So, in a sense, on the day of International Women's Day, what would you like to tell the women through this shloka which you have just sung?
Ultimately, we have everything within us. We don't have to look anywhere else. There's a mantra in Sanskrit that says, Ashta Chakra Naudwara Devanam Puriyodya. It tells us that the journey is within us through the 8 chakras, that we have 9 gates, 2 eyes, ears, nose, etc. We have to close this, and we have to bring the energy from down to up to know ourselves. And ultimately, that's all that life is about.
And I guess a woman realizes her power only when she realizes what her worth is, and that's exactly what the message you are giving. Mauri, what has been your experience? Now, when we talk about making Sanskrit relevant in the modern times, you've changed the world for yourself through yoga, through meditation. But as a woman, what do you really feel? That what kind of an impact can Sanskrit have on the lives of women?
I think it's my experience that when I hear the chanting, because I am not as scholarly with the Sanskrit, I'm still learning, I'm very new at it, but just the whole sound and the melody is just so peaceful and resonating, and it brings you to a place that allows you to go inside and relax. I mean, the world is hectic out there. I raised a daughter, I've had a career, and so I'm at the point in my life where I've been shedding more and more of this external life and focusing on the internal for peace and wellness and happiness, and it makes other people happy too around you when you're happy. So, so personally, I would say any exercise or experience, for me, it's been the yoga. For me, it's been the music and listening to the chanting or listening to any of these mantras or the singing. It brings you peace, and that's what it's done for me. Hearing the words, the melody, and that's what worked. So do some yoga. Do some yoga and sing.
And change your life as a woman.
And real meditative yoga. I mean,
Meditative
not
yoga.
exercise. I mean, more, not that there's anything wrong with exercise, but a very gentle, loving yoga.
Right. Keren, like Mauri pointed out a very important thing, that, you know, she's shut off the external factors. Like, she's raised a daughter, she's had a career, and now she's going within, you know, to discover herself, to discover the wellness, the spirituality. how does a modern woman do that? Because a modern woman is not only a homemaker, she has a career, she has to do so much of balancing. I don't want to talk about the empowerment. Today's woman is empowered. But how do you talk about the inclusivity? How do you bring about inclusivity in a society, which is, of course, dominated equally by men, but a woman is also finding her space. So how do you really do that? I'll come to Divya Prabha also for this answer. Yes.
Following your dream.
Okay.
And now I'm here, and I have back in Israel my husband with 2 little girls, and he's a very loving husband, and he's taking care of them while I'm fulfilling myself and doing what I love to do. And I want to continue what she said about the power of the language. It has infinite healing power. This is the reason. This is the first reason I was relating to this language, to this music, because it has music in the language itself. It has a beat. So that was the fact that I was so attracted. And when I started to learn these chanting mantras and kirtan and bhajans, everything was coming so fast. And I was one of
So you're saying that by chanting the Sanskrit shlokas, everything fell in place for you automatically?
Yes, I was discovering. I was not learning by definition. I was discovering something about myself, about the world. And it was feeling so, young woman from Israel, feeling so complete and so at home.
So if I could interrupt and ask you that, what was that one mantra which really, really impressed you, and that probably was the beginning of your life towards gravitating towards the Indian culture, gravitating towards India? What is that one shloka or the mantra you would like to sing?
I'm very much, it's very powerful mantra, the Swasti Vachan, because it has also very feminine and masculine energies. So I will, if you allow me, I will sing a very short phrase.
Yes.
Swastaye vayumupabravamaha sumam swasti bhuvanasya yaspati brihaspatim sarvaganam swastaya aditya sobhavantuna Swasti mitra varuna Swasti patyerevati. I could go on and on.
My God, but I'm speechless. I should say I'm speechless. It's really beautiful. But Divya Prabhaji, if we were just talking about how a woman should balance her life at this point of time. In a modern world, what you are doing, you are embracing traditionalism, you're embracing a totally different culture, and at the same time, you are carving a niche for yourself. You're a Sanskrit scholar, a successful one, of course, someone who's left her country, and you're carving a niche in a totally different country is not easy. So how does a modern woman amalgamate traditionalism along with the modern side of it?
You first got to remember that Sanskrit's not just a language. It's not by accident called a divine language. There are subtle energies within the language of Sanskrit that have a deep and profound effect on you, that change you. The definition of mantra in Sanskrit is mananat trayati iti mantra, which means that which protects you from the cogitations of the mind. And this is the thing that enables you to bring balance in your life, because that ultimately is what it's all about. Whether you talk about ancient or modern, everybody wants one thing, peace and happiness. And so how to get that? And if you imagine, it's like when you ride a bicycle in the beginning of your life, you have to really concentrate very hard. But after a short while, you're gossiping with your friends as you ride along on the scooter or the motorbike or bicycle. And mantra is like that too. It's about keeping that aim of life, why you're here on this earth, as your higher purpose, but at the same time allowing the work to happen through your hands. So you get to be able to bring the balance. And Agya Chakra, this third eye, it's not by accident called the Agya Chakra. It's about allowing the energy to flow through you. It sounds very far and disconnected and very difficult thing. But when you get involved with listening to these sounds of Sanskrit around you 24 hours a day, it uncovers you. It brings out the real you from inside, because actually that Sanskrit language is in you yourself.
So when a woman is very tired, maybe of her career, she's very tired of her life, and she's looking for more of balancing power, that's what she needs to do.
Yeah,
What the prescription
absolutely.
given by Divya Prabha.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating. That is really, Mari. Now, what is there now for a woman to discover? Like a language, the kind of impact a language like Sanskrit can have on the lives of women. How would you see the life of a woman from here on? Like a modern era is not a very easy era to live in. You have all sorts of ills. Like I wouldn't say it's actually an ill, but of course a distraction. You have technology. You have social pressures. You have the professional pressures. Of course, the family pressures. So how does a woman, make Sanskrit as the centerpiece or the spirituality as a centerpiece and move on with her life?
That is a difficult question. It's one of these things that it's a practice. It's finding what works for you that brings you that balance. And so how do you find it? How many gyms has someone joined? How many, you can try a gym or you can try, some people turn to different things. I've turned to yoga. I've also done some running and I do other forms, but the repeat part of the question, that was way a little over my head. What advice can I give?
Yes.
I would say Divya Prabha is correct in that the words in Sanskrit have deep meaning. I do not know what they are. All I know is how they make me feel and how I get drawn to them. And what
attracts you? Like when you hear a Sanskrit shloka or a Sanskrit bhajan or a kirtan, what is that memorable thing for you? Is it the sound? Is it the rhythm? Or is it the feeling within?
I think it's the feeling of joy and happiness. And, you're doing it in community, like at home. We do kirtan and it's with other people. We have kirtan potlucks. We get together, we do our yoga. So I would say even listening to music, sometimes I will put on a YouTube mantra and sing. One time I was singing so loud and then I realized my windows were open and, so, and I don't have, my voice is not trained. So it's a little different experience from my standpoint. But what I would share and what I share at home is, work with these ancient practices. Science hasn't caught up to what the ancients know. I don't know this for a fact, but this is what I feel. And I feel that they knew something. And in the ancient culture here, there are things that have happened to me since I've been in India. That's what I can say. I've come to India.
Like what? What has been your experience?
Okay. The short version, I will say it. A short version is I lent a stranger a car and I ended up in India. Now go figure that out. So, and I won't go into it, but it was a young man who moved into my hometown. He was new, he was Indian. I knew he didn't have family and had a car accident. And I said, I have 2 cars. My daughter's in college, please. And he said, my brother's taking a trip of people to India for a yoga festival. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds wonderful. And here I am.
And that's how you landed up in India.
That's how I landed here. And this is my 3rd year coming to Parmath, Niketan Ashram up in Rishikesh. And I think what my experience has been, my initial training in yoga was Hatha. And when I went back to the studio that I learned yoga from, they too have lost some of the tradition that I learned. So when I came here, I'm learning even more forms of yoga, more than the asana and more than, some of the yamas. And
you're totally at peace with yourself, no regrets in life.
I'm getting there.
Okay. So
I'm almost there, yes.
Right.
I am very close. I'm working on some healing and some physical healing, but I've been told by Divya Prabha, all you need is Om. And I'm finding that this is true. I mean, I can't meditate. What do I meditate on? All you need is Om. And it works. And I'm getting there. I'm almost ready to design a.
I'm already getting tempted to chant Om now.
Oh, see.
Okay, but
And
I
Om Namah Shivaya.
Yes, so I have to now quickly wrap up the show as well. But Keren, what is the message you would like to give the women today on a day like International Women's Day? With so much, when we're talking about so much of spirituality, wellness, and the energy, and of course, looking at the times in which the women are living. What is your message? Maybe through a bhajan or a shloka. I leave it to you how you do it.
One sentence before,
Yes.
be present, be aware of your presence, and use your voice to express yourself with yourself alone and with other people. It's the most powerful tool we have.
Okay.
If we chant Om or if we chant whatever we sing.
Right.
And I would like to
Yes.
express my gratitude and my love to India, to Bharat.
So I would want to see hear the lines which you really want to send as a message to the women today.
Be present.
Okay.
Like, take your place.
Okay.
You deserve it.
Okay. Great. Devi Prabha, you want to? What is your message to the women today?
Ultimately, your life is in your own hands. You're responsible for your own life, and your upliftment is your responsibility. So you've got, every breath is precious. Every breath should be used to the best of your ability in every moment, because no amount of money can buy you another single breath. And that would be what I would want to say to women. Just take your life in your hands and take responsibility for it and do the best you can.
And in this August company, I must admit very honestly that I'm already getting so much of positive energy. So as the famous Sanskrit shloka says, where women are honored and respected, divinity dwells there, and all actions are fruitless where women are not honored. That's a note to end the program here. A big salute to all these international luminaries who are keeping the Indian culture and tradition, and most importantly, the language of Sanskrit alive, and by their stellar contribution have shown how Sanskrit can change the lives of women. That's a wrap on this special broadcast. Wishing all of you a very happy Women's Day. Goodbye, and thanks to all my guests, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.